when I look at the COVID pandemic, a lot of things happened during the COVID pandemic. It had its bad, but it also had its good in the sense that people started to look at their lives and started to experience FOMO, saying, how can I live my life in a better way so I can create memories for myself? How do I even travel better? Go and seek out unique experiences, especially for leisure travel. I see a lot of people who also have started going out for business and extending their travels to create those memories, because really COVID gave a new meaning to YOLO. You only live once, so make the most of it. So the quest for unique experiences has certainly increased, especially in the leisure space. And we're going to hear a little bit more on that from our panelists. And this will be moderated by none other than Peter Greenberg. A round of applause, please.
Good. Well, as Tammy just said, COVID was really an interesting departure point. It was an inflection point. And everybody came up close and personal with their own sense of mortality. It redefined their bucket list. In fact, they threw it out. They changed their purchasing patterns. They said, you know what? I have no idea how long I'm going to be on the planet. I don't necessarily need a new car, new clothing, new jewelry, new expensive electronic equipment. I need experience, and I want to take everybody with me. We saw the growth of multi-generational travel, families sticking closer together, going to places they'd never been before and excited to do it. And what did we just hear on the panel before? The comment, somewhat controversial, that Africa wasn't yet ready. Africa has been ready for 100 years. Africa has been ready. Yeah, you can applaud that. Africa has been ready, it just wasn't accessible. And now we have a great intersection of demand and that accessibility. So please join me in welcoming our panel today. Chris Nader, the co-founder and CEO of ENVI Lodges. Wesam Okasha, the head of global development for TUI. Gentlemen, please come up. Amos Wekesa, my buddy from Uganda, the chief executive officer of Great Lakes Safaris. And David Vely, the VP of regional development for the Middle East and Africa and India for Club Med. Gentlemen, please come on up. So the title of this panel is The Guest's Quest for Experience, but it's also a quest for authentic experience. In the traditional term of hospitality, I think you'd all agree that the experience was dictated by their resort or the hotel or the destination. It was somewhat traditional and somewhat contrived. And what people are looking for now, and I'd like each of you to talk about that, is a different definition of experience, a different definition of authenticity, and a different definition of immersion, where participatory travel becomes part of the experience. So I'm going to start with you. What's your definition of an authentic experience now that's different over the last couple of years?
Wow, that's also another discussion like we had before on lifestyle, because that word has a specific meaning with mainstream brands, has another meaning for lifestyle brands, and in the context of what we do, which is outdoor hospitality, it takes its full meaning. And you cannot provide an experience unless you're fully immersed in the local culture, the local community, and the environment. And very few hotels can actually provide this, because only those who are actually in that outdoor space are capable of providing that authentic experience. If you're trapped between four walls in a city hotel, you can use that word as much as you want, you will never be able to achieve the full potential of that word. So it's another very word that requires a lot of attention and needs to be properly defined so that guests really understand what an authentic experience is. And it has to be across the entire guest journey. It's not one specific moment or in one specific outlet.
Suppose the true definition of luxury travel is when you have options. And the option, of course, is to get outside those four walls. I remember a story that happened with me a few years ago. I was taking 15 journalists, friends of mine, to Argentina. And as you will, and of course we were taking a night flight. That's how you get down there. And the hotel, which was the Hyatt, said, "Well, we'll send limos for the airport to get you." I said, "Well, that sounds great, except you and I both know that when we land at 6 o'clock in the morning, the rooms won't be ready anyway. Limo doesn't matter. I have a much better idea. Go to everybody who works at the hotel, maids, housekeepers, bellmen, doormen, back of the house people, anybody who's got a car, and ask them to meet us at the airport. We'll pay for it. And then we're not going to the hotel. We want to go to their community, and we're buying breakfast." And they thought we were nuts. Well, we did it. What time do you think my group checked into the hotel that night? Midnight. And you know what happened 6 months later? They threw a party in LA and invited everybody there and flew them there. Because those relationships in those communities were deep and enduring. And I guess the idea here is for all the hotel and resort operators and the safari operators, you're actually enablers, aren't you? It's not all the things you could do at a hotel that are great. It's all the things the hotel enables you to do outside the hotel in the community that makes the difference. What do you think?
I think I fully agree with you because of the simple fact that an experience, a good experience, cannot be made without people. We are in a people business, and if you build the bridge between the resorts, the guest, and the local community with the culture, then you are making a fantastic experience. This is what TUI Blue Hotels and Resorts and also all our brands offering on the market, just to make sure that we tailored these experiences in the TUI Blue and also in the Mora, which we just opened about a week ago in Zanzibar. It's a fully free and tailored experience where the guest can decide whether he eat breakfast at 3 o'clock in the morning or at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or he want to have a steak in the water. So this is like a fully free experience, and that I think these guests are fully committed to go into the culture. Our concept give a lot of elements from the culture, language. We bring them closer to the communities.
And like the story I just told about Argentina, how much do you use your staff as your ambassadors to take them into those communities?
A lot of. Believe me, a lot of. We have the such called TUI guides. Yeah, we belong to the tour operator #1 in the world, and our concept in the hotel running when we run the hotel operation is not a simple hotel operation. It's really included with a lot of elements coming from the tour operator side. So the guest has, for example, a fantastic offering of TUI collection excursions, where they can go and get into the country and the culture and the people. And also we work with National Geographic. We have National Geographic tours arranged around every single country where the guest can really get the best of experience.
Okay, I'm going to come up with 2 dirty words that are in my lexicon. Tour bus. Sorry. You're laughing because you know. The question is, when you talk about excursions, describe what an excursion would be like. Is it just people getting on a bus and going there and having a very passive experience, or a deeper immersion?
I can tell you something. This is a nice, very nice question. A typical excursion, for example, we allocate about people who needs our help and support, and we introduce them. Recently, I was in Vietnam. The tour guide in the hotel took us to a lady. She's 90 years old, and she's doing fish oil by himself since 3 generations. So we take these people, we introduce them, and they explain, and they are very proud. So this is like a very tailored experience. In the next door, the other lady is doing like the pasta. And then we did the pasta with her. This is like a real life experience with the people. And this is how you can get really very deep into that tradition and into that community. And they have for sure, they have a lot of income from that, and then we improve their life quality.
In a world where everybody wants bragging rights, and we live in an experiential one-upsmanship situation, it's one thing to say, what did you do on your vacation? Oh, I stayed at the pool, or I did that. And that's the difference.
Come to us.
David, Club Med to me, definitionally, used to be all-inclusive, and you stayed in the resort and you never left the resort. I'm assuming things are changing.
Yes, things have changed a lot since those old days. You know, experience, I'm very happy today because there are a few words that we hear now that are the front line of everybody's, every newspaper, every magazine, which are experience. Well, Club Med was created in 1950 around experience. That's always been what we've been provided, right? And ESG as well, right? We keep on hearing about that. Again, when Club Med was created in 1950, it was, around sport, nature, and interaction with people. Some of the criteria important to ESG. What I'm very happy today is that we can see the kind of conjunction of experience, authenticity, and ESG. And I'm very happy to see that for once there is convergence. There is no opposition like you may have sometimes. We hear about the return on investment and ESG, and sometimes you can tick a little bit. For authenticity, it's completely linked. For instance, and that needs to be embedded since the planning and at the beginning of any project we do. Since the beginning, when we create a new destination, we immediately envision on what people are going to be capable to experience within the resort and outside of the resort. Now, more than 70 to 80% of people who stay in an all-inclusive and truly all-inclusive experience at Club Med go outside, go experience, go on tours, go,
But that's changing. That didn't used to be the case.
But it has changed because our clientele has changed. Our clientele has evolved. As we were moving upscale, we are now our clientele is also moving upscale, and that clientele is more aware of those elements of discovering, exploring, experiencing with their friends, but with their families. Club Med main target segment is families, and we create those experiences for those families who definitely want to explore, more than 80% of them.
And they do.
And they do. Absolutely, they do. On every Club Med, we worked with local DMCs who will facilitate this because they know better than we do. They are in the marketplace for years, 10 years. They know the local players. They know what to do. They know how to do it. So they have an implant within the resorts we operate, and they organize those excursions, those experiences for those families.
Now, Amos, you just heard David talk about that the market, the guests are driving this move towards authentic experience. Is that your experience as well?
When you're saying driving, I hope you're not saying driving the safari cars into the national parks. No, I happen to be on both the safari bit and also accommodation. And interests are changing. I've been running business for the last 23 years. I've realized that the word sustainability is becoming very key in people's desire to travel, and of course experiences like you talk about. So our tours, for example, we picked from Entebbe, and for those of you who have not seen how beautiful Uganda is, Peter Greenberg just has done some very good film that I think should be launched soon. And if you watch it and you have not been to Uganda and you have not traveled yet, I think that you'll understand that bit when you watch what he has done. But anyway, that's not what I came here to say. But as a tour company, one thing I learned is that exactly what you're talking about, authentic experience. Tourists picked from the airport, along the routes, maybe to Queen National Park, you'll find a market day. And they will go and actually participate, ask questions by staff, and then I don't know, you got what they call the chicken on your face. Guys doing the chicken by the roadside. Okay, we try to encourage the tourists to make sure they get from the real hot part instead of the one that people are, vending around. And they love this kind of experiences. Then we go to places like Chibale National Park. You find there's a place that was a swamp. It was allowed to regenerate from 1993, and it's run by the community. You find kids that dropped out from senior 4 from the community that will not go further, were trained to become tour guides, and they go through this swamp. Every tourist pays about $30. The swamp makes about $300,000 a year. As a business, we've supported them throughout all this stuff. As I think that authentic tourism needs us to innovate all the time. I'm now building a new lodge. I've just entered the Tanzanian market, and I just leased a 100-acre property from a community around the Rangere National Park. I'm working with the Maasai on this particular project. But every day that we're building, when we're opening again next month, every day we're building, I am thinking about how the community is going to be involved in this lodge going forward, especially from next month. So it's key as you think about the future. Everybody is thinking about sustainability, thinking about communities. And I can also give you examples. I started up a training cafes at Primate Lodge, which is a lodge in Chivale National Park. And we train kids that have dropped out of school from the community in hospitality, practical training. So we bring in like 5-star trainers from the UK to train trainers, and then those trainers then train the community for 6 months, and these guys are either taken on by us or other lodges. But tourists will love, instead of being in the main lodge, they want to go and sit down and see how these guys from the community are making the coffees and stuff like that.
Well, what you're really talking about, it's not the product. They're fascinated with the process.
Yeah, with the process as well, yes.
Exactly. So let's go to one other issue that's taking over most of the corporations in America in the travel industry, and that's what, I hope I don't offend anybody here, but it's a sort of a CFO mentality. We've gone from companies that have been led by entrepreneurial, customer-friendly CEOs to CFOs. And that makes a lot of innovation a little bit more difficult because they're applying ROI, and I just saw that look on your face. Right? You want to take that? You got it now. I mean, the point is, how do you then accomplish what you're trying to do in an era where cost is first and foremost, right? Meaning that you have to educate internally your own companies to be able to achieve what you're trying to do. Go ahead, don't just look at me.
Yes, you have to, but I don't necessarily see a conflict here. Let's not be completely, naive. For company, for shareholders, a return on investment is important. It's a key criteria. Everybody who says the opposite, I don't believe him.
Yes, now, but let's go from ROI to ROE, return on investment versus return on experience.
Agreed.
Which is more valuable?
You don't have to. You don't necessarily have to arbitrage. That's my point. I think you can combine both of it. We are a company where ROI matters and ROE as well. Let me give you some simple example. Where you can combine it and where actually it's both benefits. Construction, simple one. Construction. All right. You know what? If you source locally. If you go according to local knowledge method, take into consideration the climate, the weather, or whatever it is, and you do locally, guess what? It's cheaper, most effective, and higher experience. Because the last thing you want is to have a resort that looks the same in South Africa than it is in Sicily. Right? So the two can be combined, and it's a matter of having good people and smart people, and most companies do have, to combine both.
So have you been able, because it's all not just the initial guest, it's the return guests, so have you been able to justify financially and prove that you have a better return of guests based on those experiences, that you have a higher number of people coming back?
Absolutely. We have about 50% of loyal customers. Our definition of a loyal customer is people who will return within 3 years, right? So 50%, which is quite high, with people staying more than a week on average in resorts. Well, that's the nature of all-inclusive resorts. People stay a little bit longer, right? And they do appreciate those locally designed local materials. They do appreciate the fact that, for instance, more than 90% of the staff in a resort are from the local marketplace. Yeah. All right? Which is something absolutely critical. So, we kind of, and I hope I won't offend anybody here, but we kind of not follow the trend that you would see in places like Dubai, for instance, where wherever you go, in any hotel you go in Dubai or in the Middle East, you will see your subcontinent, which are very lovely people, but they have nothing to do with the local experience. We stay away from that. Okay, 90% will be from the local communities.
And now you've already built a great foundation there.
Yeah.
Chris.
We should make a distinction between what was said on sustainability and experiences. Sustainability in most markets is costly, has an ROI, and you have to convince the investor of its benefit. And it's an uphill battle because of cost of technology, cost of supply chain, availability of resources. This is more of a battle today than actually convincing an investor to put X dollars on experience, and it doesn't cost a lot of money to provide amazing experiences. Because the amazing experiences, as Dave is saying, are with your local employees, with the local communities, going to eat simple street food, learning a recipe from a mama sitting somewhere in a village. These are not costly. But being able to achieve this while having your sustainability, because these are linked, and guests are looking at both at the same time. This is how they're making their decisions.
And they may not tell you that, but they're looking at it that way.
Absolutely. They're looking at it quite a lot. It's sometimes very complicated. You have a lot of restrictions when you go to national parks, for instance. You have other very big challenges when you work in harsh climates. I mean, you take Namibia, for instance, and in the Middle East there are similar climates. Very hot, desert, sometimes very humid. How do you provide that comfort in the luxury space while being sustainable? And when you go into the details, you realize that it's actually very difficult. It's very easy for us to sit on stage and say and claim things, but once you put that CFO hat on and you start digging into the cost of all of these things, you really need to be able to convince your investors, because obviously in the long run, it's a big added value. But
let's go back to what we were just talking about at the beginning of the post-pandemic world, where people have changed their purchasing patterns, they've changed their purchasing behavior. They came out of the gate, they weren't that price sensitive. I'm sure you all experienced people saying, I want that room, I don't care how much it costs, I'm gonna do it, because they were going, it was a Last Supper mentality. They really wanted to do that. So doesn't that allow you then to price these experiences in a way that you can satisfy your CFOs?
Yes, absolutely. The price you're able to charge for a truly authentic experiences is justified, and you can clearly show the return.
Authenticity has a premium.
Authenticity has a big premium. And today, if what you said, if you remove revenge shopping, what we call it after COVID.
I didn't call it that. Everybody else called it that.
Yeah. But if you remove that one and a half year kind of revenge shopping, what people would pay anything for anything, let's go back to a normal kind of, people have changed, but also they adjusted their price spending. They are still willing to pay the high price for it.
Get ready for your projections for 2025, because I think people are going to come down to a little bit of reality. I mean, it's just not financially sustainable. For the moment, everybody's having a great time. But the point is, then the bill comes, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have two keywords for you. Yeah? Repeaters, but also unique experiences. Being fully backed up by the tour operator #1 in the world, we do unique experiences. And so far, that's mean in West Africa, for instance, we will be down the road offering 4 hotels, 4 country, 1 price, and 4 different culture. You name it. Cape Verde, Senegal, Ivory Coast, and also Gambia. These are kind of offers which we can collect and do because of the tour operator behind us with own aircraft. So in the perfect world of TUI, the guest in the UK or anywhere in Europe, they can take the flight, TUI fly, go to the first destination, jump there for a couple of days, have, for example, shortly between Tanzania and Kenya, we will have bush and beach experiences. The people will fly with us in, fly out, have 2 experiences, different experiences, and go back home. And post the pandemic, we were like very creative on the UK market. We have offered holiday today and pay later. You cannot believe that was like actually an activity which we want to put only just to get like the engines running again after the pandemic. But this formula is standing now here, and it will stay forever, because you will not believe how many people we have generated from the market, in the UK market. And then it's functional. They pay 25%, and then they can choose if they can pay 3 shots or 4 shots, and it's functional. Our hotel in Sarigama, for example, the TUI Blue Tropical, was filled After the lockdown was over, it was filled, 2,500 people all the season. It was a good spot. That is about experience.
But you also have the unique opportunity to own those travelers because you're providing all the infrastructure.
It's true. It's a powerhouse of an ecosystem where you really can leverage a lot. And this is why I think like the guests who comes to us, they have really a very special experience. With all my respect, I mean, Club Med is in the market since ages, and this is a fantastic thing, but to have completely different concept in our hotels, in the Mora, but also in the TUI Blue hotels and resorts.
I'm assuming, David, you can do the same thing because a Club Med traveler goes to other Club Meds.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Very often in the purchasing, we've done a lot of studies on that. In the purchasing pattern for customers, very interestingly so, by the way, very often it's driven by the women in the household who decides that, and she will decide that she first, wants for the family to go to Club Med before selecting the destination. The first decision making, we go to Club Med. Then they look at
So she's picking the brand first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is quite interesting because that means that when we settle in a destination, we don't come at the expense of the rest of the hospitality industry, but we come on top of it. Because those are customers, those are clients, families, who would not have necessarily gone to that destination otherwise. Which is why we work quite well with the main industry players, by the way, because they have very good synergies in terms of raising up the awareness of the destination. So they choose Club Med, the destination, so obviously they repeat, those travel experience in other destinations, and that's what enables us when we open a new destination, which is very counterintuitive compared to the rest of the industry, which will have a 3 to 5 years ramp up before they fill up and get to a reasonable occupancy. For us, we get the highest occupancy level the first year. For year 1, year 2, year 3, and then it stabilizes a little bit downwards. So kind of the other way around because of that.
Amos, in terms of definition of safari, I mean, if you go to Uganda, you know what not the big 5 animals, but the big 5 attractions, right? You've got Lake Victoria, you've got Murchison Falls, you've got, of course, the gorillas up in the forest.
We call them, we have Big Nine.
I know you do have that, right? But I'm talking about attractions.
Attractions,
right?
Yes.
So if you're going to go there, how have you redefined the experience so that they're not just looking at the lake, they're doing something in the lake. They're not just visiting the falls, they're actually experiencing the communities around the falls.
Yeah, the thing is that Uganda, unfortunately, has a lot of these attractions far from each other. So of course there's other places you have to fly so you don't experience the markets experience along the routes. But you've been to Bwindi, you track the mountain.
There's a reason why they call it the impenetrable forest.
Absolutely, yeah. Bwindi is, Uganda has 2 national parks with the mountain gorillas. That's Bwindi and Mugahinga, which hosts about 54% of the world population of mountain gorillas. Of course, Rwanda has been more aggressive in marketing themselves, but around Bwindi, you have so many other experiences. You can go birding with communities. You can go, interacting with the pygmy families that are still in a forest environment, which I don't say it a lot as a business because sometimes clients see it different ways. You can go to the community, learn how to make crafts with the community. There's so many things that you actually can do along that side. You can do walks within the community, arranged by the community guys. But you're talking about earlier on about rate of return against the rate of experience, right? I think us who are in national parks have a chance to go away with a lot. What I've seen is that it's easier if you package your product very well, people will be willing to pay higher. But at the same time, when the clients realize that, I gave an example of the training cafes along the lodge that we're building around all our lodges, which trains people from 10 kilometers from the edge of the park. People actually, tourists go and engage this particular kids training. They want to prove that these kids are actually coming from the community. We spend about $15,000 every month on on the training of the about 20-15 kids as a lodge. But they go and ask these kids, where do you come from? What do you do? To just authenticate the story. And when they see the story is right, they're actually willing to come and participate in making sure that these more kids are trained. That's what I'm seeing as a businessman. But because we charge slightly higher, the rate of return is different. I also don't have shareholders yet. So I'm able to have a big, I'm happy within the space in which I work.
I think we can all agree. I started out by saying Africa was ready.
Yeah.
We have an intersection now of demand and accessibility. Yeah. Yes. So towards that end, Wesam, I think you have a short film you want to show us.
That's true. It's about also experience. It's about sustainability, which is one of the biggest agenda we have in the company. We are reducing by 46.2% the emission by 2030, reducing a lot of energy use, no more plastic in the hotels. There are different, we are using AI to make sure that we avoid food waste. And the TUI Care Foundation has been signing 25 government and countries, different program where we empower the communities, we bring a lot of beauty. I will invite you to see that movie. It's happening in 25 countries already.
My name is Kanto Bakker.
My name is Haula El Heidi.
Volani Mabunda.
Me llamo Domingo García.
My name is Maya.
Ignacio Romero.
Edith Baloyi.
ENVI Care Foundation builds on the potential of tourism as a force for good.
TUI Care Foundation wants to support the destinations and especially the people in the destination to get a better life, and that they also benefit from the tourism industry and from the travelers coming to their countries.
With currently over 30 projects in 25 destinations around the world, TUI Care Foundation focuses on 3 fields of engagement: young generation and education, nature and environment, empowering local communities. TUI Academies, empowering 10,000 disadvantaged youth to start a career in tourism.
And that's really the start for a new life for them.
Ahora puedo pagar el colegio a mi niño, puedo ayudar a mi mamá a comprarle su medicamento, puedo pagarme mis clases de inglés.
Try something you never tried and you were scared to try, and you made it. They realized that you can do other things in your life.
TUI Cares, enhancing entrepreneurship opportunities for local communities.
The local producers, local farmers, they are not very well connected, and that's why we thought it's good to start cooperatives for the farmers, for the vineyard owners.
No podemos estar constantemente luchando con químicos, eliminando especies vegetales, animales que nos rodean. Estamos conectando directamente con los consumidores que nos visitan, turistas que están en nuestros hoteles, en nuestros restaurantes, a los cuales pues, se les intenta potenciar el consumo de vino ecológico.
Safeguarding nature and protecting the marine environment.
Creatures get stuck in plastic and sometimes they die. I love to see nature that is clean and not with trash.
TUI Turtle Aid, saving 1 million sea turtles by 2020. TUI Elephant Aid, contributing to the protection of 15,000 elephants in Africa and Asia. TUI Junior Academies, giving 100,000 children better opportunities in life and training them to become nature ambassadors.
When they were growing up, those people that are poaching now, they never had an opportunity to go on a safari, to go to learn about how important is nature.
What we want to achieve is actually to change the mindset of young people of how they think of the environment. We want them to love it and respect it as it is.
Thank you, Wesam.
That's what we do.
And I have to actually leave right now. We've talked about connectivity over the last couple of days, so I have to race to the airport to start my 24-hour flight back to the United States. Nothing is easy, but let me first thank Amos, David, Wesam, and Chris. I'm turning this back over to Tammy to finish this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the panel.
Thank you so much.